Let's talk about today how to find the slope of a line when you're given 2 points. So you'd be given a problem where they say there is like a line that has 2 points, like the ones I have here, 7, 5, and -4, -6. And they'll ask you to find the slope. First of all, the slope of a line is essentially how a line is uh, pitched, if you will. So, for example, the slope of this line is how it goes up. The slope of this line is how it goes down. A straight horizontal line, well, that's supposed to be horizontal. Let me try that again. A horizontal line also has a slope, but it has what's called zero slope. It's a flat line, but it's based on the way how a line essentially is pitched or whatever when you go from left to right on the line. All right. So anyhow, that said, that's what a slope is. If you want to find the slope of a line, you'll use the following equation. First of all, slope is always going to be denoted by the letter M. And the slope of a line, if you want to find it using 2 points, is going to be equal to the following. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So what does that mean? So basically you have these 2 points. So remember, anytime you have a coordinate pair like this, the numbers in parentheses separated by a comma, the first number is always going to be your X. The second number is always going to be your Y. And basically, so say for example, let me just kind of I just don't want to assume that everybody knows what I mean whenever I talk about a point. This represents a point on a coordinate graph. X is always going to be horizontal. Y is always going to be vertical. If I wanted to find where this point was, it's where X is 7 and Y is 5. So you would go. So this is X is equal to 7. So you would go over 7 on the X-axis, and you go up 5 on the Y-axis, and boom, there's your point. So that's what that's talking about. It's a point in space that you locate with those coordinates. X is 7 and Y is 5. Okay, that's what's meant by a coordinate pair. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase that so I can have that space back. Now, when we say Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, what we're saying is, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say this is point 1 and this is point number 2. So the point represented by 7, 5 is point number 1. The point represented by -4, -6 is point number 2. So that would mean that this is your X1 and your Y1. This is your X2 and your Y2. Now you have to make sure that you keep track of that and don't mix up your coordinates, because that's a common point of mistake. So Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. If I want to do that for these 2 points, your Y2 is going to be -6 minus Y1, and your Y1 is going to be 5 over X2, which is -4 minus X1, which is 7. So you have -6 minus 5 is going to be -11, and then -4 minus 7 is also -11. So you have -11 divided by -11. That just gives you a +1. So the slope of this particular line, based on the 2 points, is -1. Keep this in mind as well. Even though we said that this is point number 2, this is point number 1, we could have done it in the opposite order, and we could have said that this is point number 2 and this is point number 1. It doesn't matter. As long as you just have points on a line, it doesn't really matter which 2 you pick and what order you do them in. You're going to get the same slope. That's just the way that works. Okay, so don't worry about whether or not you put in the proper one first or whatever. Sorry about the noise from here. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, how to find a slope.